You sit in a quiet room. The fan is off. The phone is face down. Nobody is speaking. For a moment, it feels peaceful. Then the quiet starts getting loud. A memory appears. A worry. A half-finished conversation. A strange hum inside your own ears. Silence should feel empty, but it doesn't. Why? The obvious answer is that modern life has made you impatient. Your brain is used to noise, screens, notifications, and constant input. But the real answer is older and stranger. Your brain does not treat silence as nothing. It treats silence as missing information. And for most of human history, missing information could be dangerous. Long before traffic, headphones, and glowing screens, your ancestors lived in a world that was never truly quiet. Leaves scratched. Insects clicked. Birds warned. Water moved. Fire cracked. Somewhere beyond the edge of sight, animals breathed in the dark. Sound was not decoration. It was a survival system. A snapped twig could mean food. A sudden absence of birdsong could mean a predator. The difference between noise and silence could be the difference between another morning and no morning at all. But your brain did not evolve only to hear sounds. It evolved to predict them. The part of the brain that processes sound is called the auditory cortex. In simple terms, it turns vibrations in the air into meaning. A voice becomes a person. A growl becomes a threat. But this system is not passive. It guesses. Every second, your brain predicts what should happen next. A door handle turns, so a door should creak. A cup touches a table, so it should clink. Footsteps begin, so they should continue. When the expected sound does not arrive, your brain notices the gap. That gap is silence, and to your nervous system, a gap is not empty. It is a question. What changed? What stopped? What disappeared? This is why total quiet can feel heavier than soft background noise. Even today, a room can go silent and your body reacts before your thoughts catch up. Your shoulders tighten. Your attention moves outward. Something feels off. Then, in 1952, composer John Cage made this idea impossible to ignore. His piece was called 4 minutes and 33 seconds. The performer sat at the piano and did not play. The audience expected music. Instead, they heard coughing, breathing, shuffling, and the tiny sounds of themselves. The silence was not silent. It exposed the listener. That is the strange thing about quiet. When the outside world stops giving your brain something to track, your attention turns inward. Researcher Marcus Rakela helped identify what is now called the default mode network. In plain English, this is the brain's background thinking system. It becomes active when you are not focused on a task. When you stop reading, working, scrolling, or speaking, this system starts wandering. Memories, fears, plans, regrets, imagined futures. So when the room gets quiet, your brain does not switch off. It starts searching, and often what it finds is unfinished business. That message you never answered. That mistake from 3 years ago. That sentence someone said with a tone you still cannot decode. That future problem that has not happened yet, but already feels real. This is one reason silence can feel uncomfortable. Noise gives attention somewhere to go. Music gives emotion a shape. Conversation gives thought a track to follow. Silence gives your brain open space. And open space is where buried thoughts come up for air. Psychologist Timothy Wilson and his colleagues found something uncomfortable about this. People were asked to sit alone with their thoughts. No phone, no reading, no music. Some were even given the option to shock themselves with a small electric current. Many chose the shock, because doing something felt easier than doing nothing. But maybe this is not only a modern problem. Your ancestors were not sitting under office lights, but their brains also had to manage boredom, uncertainty, and threat. A quiet moment beside a dying fire was not empty leisure. It was a time to listen, to remember, to plan, to watch the darkness. Silence was never just silence. It was surveillance. Your brain listened to the world. And when the world stopped answering, it listened harder. Modern life changed the problem. It did not remove silence. It made silence optional. For most of human history, quiet arrived whether you wanted it or not. Night fell. Work stopped. Fire dimmed. The world narrowed. Today, you can cover silence instantly. A podcast while brushing your teeth. Music during a walk. A video before your thoughts finish forming. This creates a loop. The less silence you experience, the more intense silence feels. The more intense it feels, the faster you escape it. So silence becomes not a neutral space, but a test you never trained for. And when your brain reaches for noise, it may not be reaching for entertainment. It may be reaching for regulation. A podcast can make loneliness less sharp. Music can hold an emotion steady. A video can interrupt anxious thoughts. Background noise can convince your nervous system that the world is populated, moving, normal, safe. That does not mean noise is bad. Your brain uses sound like a handrail, but a handrail is different from a cage. If every quiet moment feels intolerable, the problem may not be silence itself. It may be what silence reveals. The speed of your thoughts. The unfinished fears. The constant renting out of your attention. There's another layer too. Your brain is especially good at detecting change. A steady sound fades into the background, but a sudden stop can snap attention awake. This is called habituation. In simple terms, your brain starts ignoring what stays the same so it can notice what changes. A ticking clock disappears after a while. Then the clock stops. Suddenly, you hear the silence. Not because silence made a sound, but because your prediction broke. Psychologist Diana Deutsch showed how easily the brain organizes ambiguous sounds into patterns. Your brain does not passively receive reality. It builds reality from clues. So silence is never processed alone. It is processed beside expectation. What should be happening? What was happening a moment ago? What could happen next? That is also why your brain sometimes invents sound in silence. In a quiet room, you may hear faint ringing, buzzing, or rushing. Sometimes it is your body. Sometimes it is the nervous system itself. Sometimes it is tinnitus, which is sound without an outside source. Your brain fills blanks. It searches for patterns. It refuses to let nothing remain, nothing. That refusal once helped your ancestors survive. But now the same system follows you into bedrooms, elevators, empty offices, and late-night scrolling sessions. The predator is gone. The prediction system remains. Still, silence is not only a threat. It can also teach the brain that absence is safe. The first minute may feel strange. The second may feel restless. Then the nervous system begins to downshift. The quiet becomes less like a warning, more like a room, a place where thoughts can appear without becoming commands. A place where your brain can stop chasing input and start noticing itself. This is why some silences feel powerful instead of empty. A library. A temple, a mountain path, a sleeping house after midnight. These silences tell your brain that nothing urgent is required right now. And your ancient brain understands that too. Because not all silence meant danger. Some silence meant safety, the quiet after survival. So your brain does not truly hate silence. It distrusts silence until it understands it. It checks the edges. It asks for context. It brings up old problems because old problems might still contain useful information. And now, sitting in a quiet room, you inherit all of that. The ancient listener, the pattern finder, the threat detector. So the next time silence feels uncomfortable, remember, your brain is just asking one of the oldest questions in human history. Is it safe now? And the quickest way to answer is to show it. Right now, put your phone face down. Turn off the background noise. Sit alone in your room for just 60 seconds. When the quiet gets loud, don't run. Let the thoughts surface, look at them, and let them pass. If you can survive the first uncomfortable minute, something incredible happens. Your nervous system downshifts. The anxiety clears, the static fades, and you unlock a rare sense of absolute clarity. Your brain has been hyper-vigilant for a lifetime. Give it the ultimate reward. Let it realize that right now you are safe. And hey, once your brain finishes relaxing, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. Or don't, and let your thoughts wonder why you didn't. See you next time.